Hey all you game devs, this is Dan with You Contribute Games. Thanks for tuning in to this segment of our catch game template reskinning project where we're walking you through all the steps needed to reskin the sample game of nuts and bolts that's included with the catch game template over to a baseball catcher. In the prior segment of this tutorial, we went ahead and imported the catch game template as well as a free asset pack from the Unity Asset Store by Loonybit called Catch Game Asset Volume 2. And we took a look at all the things that were in those folders. In this segment of the tutorial, we are going to go ahead and take a look at the bucket. Now the bucket is what the player moves around on the screen, and it's what they use to try to catch all of the falling objects in the game. Now our bucket itself is actually a series of 3D primitives within Unity that are laid out in a manner to somewhat resemble a box. Now we've put a bucket 2D sprite in front of those, and since you don't actually see that in the game, it works nicely just to cover those up. We'll go ahead and update that in this video to our glove for our baseball catcher, because you catch baseballs with a glove, right? But let's go ahead and get started by first testing everything out and making sure it works before we start updating anything. So you can see when we catch a screw, our health goes down. We catch some of these other objects, our score goes up, and our physics is working because we can knock these around. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and look at our bucket image. And we're going to change that sprite over to one of our gloves, but as you can see, the sprite pack that has the gloves on it is not split up. So let's go into the asset pack in the players folder, and we'll pull up that sprite sheet. We'll change the sprite mode from single to multiple, and we'll open the sprite editor. We'll click slice. We'll use the automatic slicing. That'll split up all of these individual art packs assets into individual art pieces. Click apply, and go ahead and close that out. And now if we go back to our bucket image, you can see that all of those individual art assets have been separated out. So I want to use this blue glove right here. And as always, if we start changing things around, let's go ahead and test them out as we go to make sure everything's working. So we pull up the game, and well, first we can see that the physics are working pretty good. Everything seems to be working fairly well. Alright, everything seems to be working pretty good. Now one thing I would like to point out is that in some of the tests we've done reskinning this, we did run into instances where once we started changing art assets, the game broke at this point, and that was because we lost our tags in Unity. Now if you'll look, we actually have a bucket, a ground, a good egg, and a bad egg. Those are actually what kind of let everything know what's being collided with and help our game move along. So what you'll want to do is ensure that, most importantly, that your bucket collider is tagged as a bucket. But for general purposes, I recommend just going ahead and highlighting all of the pieces within the bucket, setting those to bucket. You want to highlight your ground, make sure that is tagged as the ground, and within the catch game template, our prefabs, you want to make sure that our bolts, nut, and screw are all set up properly. So just to be safe, let's select all of these, make sure these are our nuts and bolts are set to good objects, and our screws are set to bad eggs, because those are the ones we don't want to catch. Alright, so back to the bucket. And as you can see, first off, the glove's a little too small for our bucket, and we could take this asset and supersize it to cover that up, but I don't know that that looks very good in the game. Besides, I like the size of this glove in comparison to the game. So let's go ahead and highlight everything other than our bucket image within the bucket object, and let's start to resize those down so that they fit within our glove here. Alright, and let's grab these side pieces, move those over. Now I actually want to kind of turn these out so that they're fairly parallel to the side of the glove, and line it up right around the top of that finger, and that is so that as we actually catch things, it reacts with the falling objects how you would expect it to if it was actually hitting that glove, right? So we'll get those lined up right at the edge of the art asset. And let's take a look at the front fill and the back fill, just holding control to click both of those. And from a 2D view, let's stretch those out just enough so that they really kind of fill up. Now, I'm not so concerned with this being a solid object. It's more or less as a container, so that if our falling objects fall within here, that they kind of get knocked back down and into our collider box, indicating that we've caught something. So let's go ahead and test that one more time. Alright. So everything seems to be working good again. And we said, like right there, you can see that as those things fall right around the edge of the glove, they kind of sit in there. But what I don't like is it looks like the objects are falling in behind the glove, and when you catch something with a baseball glove, it falls in the glove, not behind it. So the first thing I want to do is take this bucket image and move it to the back. And you can see the back of the bucket is at 2.7, so let's move this bucket image to 2.71. And then, as you can see, our bucket's actually hiding our image. So let's select all of those again using Shift, and let's deactivate this mesh renderer. So now we've still got our bucket there. It's still going to interact with all of the physics here in Unity. It just we won't be able to actually see it on screen, which works perfect for us because all we want to see is the glove. Again, we'll pull our play screen in. We'll give her a test, and everything is working pretty good. But the one thing I don't like here is obviously our glove is too low on the screen. So let's keep this in view, and let's deactivate our user interface so that we can actually see the glove there. And let's drag that up. Be careful not to drag it too high because we don't have an arm for our baseball catcher. So we want that glove to just kind of sit right at the bottom of the screen. And the other thing I see here is our bucket collider sits kind of high within that glove. I want it to be right in the palm of the glove so that as the objects fall in, they actually fall into the palm of the glove before they disappear. Alright, so everything appears good there. We'll give her one more good test just to make sure. And bam! Knock some stuff around. Everything falls in as it hits the palm of the glove. It disappears. Our score goes up. Alright, thanks for tuning in to this segment of our reskin tutorial. Catch us in the next video where we're actually going to look at how to update our spawn logic and switch all of our falling objects from the nuts and bolts and screws over to some baseballs to move forward with this reskin project. Thanks, guys.